World of Tanks TL7. The TL7 is an American Tier 9 tank destroyer. In World of Tanks, this is going to be in the Winter Auction 2024, which has already started. This vehicle is a 4-shot autoloader. And is it a good tank? In terms of being an autoloader, obviously autoloaders have a substantial advantage. So in that case, yes, it's a good tank. In every other respect, not so much. It's just kind of average or low performing. You get more combat experience and crew experience, more credits per battle, ability to earn bonds, and free crew transfer, which means that your American tank destroyer crew can play in this vehicle. This is obviously the equipment it comes with. I'm going to skip it. We'll get to it a little bit later. And then there's a crew of 4: commander, gunner, driver, and loader. And the commander is the radio operator. So you can see it has a turret. Usually a tank destroyer with a turret, the turret's going to move slowly. It has a form of, I don't know what you call it, mesh armor. It's designed for things like high explosive rounds, missiles, etc. Not going to help you that much in this game, but maybe it will give you a little bit of protection. The hull armor is not that great. The turret armor is okay. Penetration is just kind of average. It's a 4-shot autoloader. 41-second reload. I'm sure you could get that down to like 30 or 35 seconds using equipment. It has 2.3-second interclip reload, 4 shots. The average penetration is 252 with the regular rounds and around 300 with APCR rounds. That means that you're going to be fine going up against Tier 8. You're going to be the same as everybody else for Tier 9. But going up against Tier 10, it's going to be a little bit more tricky. You're probably going to have to fire gold rounds. With gold rounds, you'll be able to penetrate almost everybody 50% of the time. With the regular rounds, you're going to have to be shooting for the lower plates. The average damage is at 360. There's nothing special about that. Gun traverse speed is 25. The gun depression is -10, which is obviously pretty good. Aim time 2.49. That is not good. Your aim time is going to be slower than other vehicles. That's the way they balance out the autoloaders. Dispersion of 0.38. Nothing good about that. Average DPM 1.795. Hit points 1500. Hull armor is 100, which means that you're talking about Tier 8 hull armor. The other tank destroyers, which you're not really going to be competing against, they have stronger hull armor. And it's 50 and 45 on the side. It's going to give you better top speed, but you really don't have that armor. The turret armor is 200, which is okay. Compared to other tank destroyers, you're really not that well protected. 200 for Tier 9, you're not as quite as well as a lot of the other heavy tanks, for example, in the game. Nothing special about it. Suspension repair time is 1203. That's common with a lot of vehicles in the game. Engine power is 480. That's not that great. Top speed of 50 is good, which means that if you put the turbo on it, you're probably going to get some nice acceleration. The concealment is 15. Nothing special about that. And the view range is 370, which is kind of low. The radio is 745, which really doesn't matter that much. We're going to go into, well, I want you to look at that cupola. The cupola is kind of big. The driver sits in the middle. And you can see that there's a little gun port over here. So there's somebody sitting over here. There's probably somebody behind that hatch. We're going to look at a comparison with other vehicles. These are going to be other tank destroyers. Now, keep in mind, this is a mixture. A lot of these vehicles are heavily armored. Specification-wise, it doesn't come out on top compared to any of these vehicles, with the exception of the fact that it has a 4-shot autoloader. The damage is 360. I see 500, 750, 700, 560, 400, 560, 420, 390. That puts you at the bottom. So the Tortoise is a rapid fire vehicle, but basically the damage on this vehicle is going to put you at the bottom compared to all the other Tier 9 tank destroyers. And keep in mind, something like the T-30 probably has more than one gun to choose from, and it might have a higher damage gun. The penetration is 252. That's really nothing special. In fact, Tier 8 tank destroyers often do 252. 252 is for a tank destroyer, you're not really going to compete with the Tier 10s. Nothing special about Tier 9. You see we got 265, 76, 71, 68, 76, 68, 300, 270. So basically it puts you at the lower average with the 252, and with the 300 you're really not doing anything special, considering that the top vehicle in the game is 420. So the penetration is not that great. The reload time is 41 seconds. It's pretty substantial. It is a 4-shot autoloader, which means it's 10 seconds per shot, which actually makes it pretty good compared to most of the other vehicles. Gun traverse speed is 25. Nothing special about that. It's not that great. The gun depression is actually pretty good at -10. Aim time is 249. That's not good. It looks like compared to the other vehicles, it's actually kind of average. There's obviously vehicles that are better, like the 192 and the 201 and the 163. But the 249 is kind of average for the tank destroyers, but not for other tanks. 0.38 dispersion, nothing good about that. It's actually looks like it's one of the worst. There's only one that's worse. Average damage per minute is 1795. That's nothing good. It's way below this vehicle over here. The Conway is almost double. In this case, the K91 PT, I love this tank, is double the DPM of the TL7. Hit points is 1500. That's kind of average. Remember, it's a lightly armored vehicle. The hull armor is 100 on the bottom, and that puts it on the lower end. There's a lot of vehicles with 200, 273, 180, 305. It's not a heavily armored vehicle. The turret's at 200. If you compare it to the hull armor, it's still going to be under the armor for most tank destroyers. Well under. It's not even close. 305, 245, 260, 250. It does put it more of, it puts you better than half and worse than half. It puts you right in the middle. Suspension repair time is 1203, which is common in terms of repair time for lots of vehicles. The top speed is 50, which means you're going to do better than most tank destroyers. 50 is pretty good. It's going to be faster than a lot of heavy tanks. A stationary vehicle concealment is 15. Nothing special about that, but you really want to care about when you're firing, which I believe is a 2.75 value. And then the view range is 370, which puts it on the lower side, but not by much. It's not going to matter that much. You'll be able to compensate for that using crew skills and vents. How much is this vehicle worth? It's going to be worth 40 or 50 bucks. You don't want to spend too much more than that. Definitely $30, I would say. I would definitely have paid $30 for this vehicle. So which vehicles do we have here? That's good, that's probably good, that's probably good, that's probably good. The STRV Tier 8 is really good, but the 103 Tier 9 is is not as overpowered as the Tier 8, but it's still pretty good. Conway's good. I'm sure the Yagdi Tiger is good. I like the K91. This one, the Jaeger, the T111 Jaeger, I don't know what it is. The Waffen Traeger is pretty good. The K Panzer, the Foch. So, a lot of heavily armored vehicles, a lot of big guns, a lot of damage. The big advantage is the autoloader. I don't know if it's any better. You know, the Foch autoloader is probably better. And this other vehicle here, the CC1MK, not better. So it's got a good autoloader compared to the other vehicles. I'm going to remove some of the vehicles. If you were going to spend money on it, compared to these other vehicles, I would say go for it. Compared to the other premium vehicles, it's probably a smart choice. There's a lot of people that don't like the rear-mounted vehicles. The autoloader has a big advantage. I'm going to remove the heavily armored vehicles. Not sure which ones they all are. Just going to remove a bunch of them. So we got this selection left. And how do these compare? You're going to be in the same situation where your gun isn't so big, you can't choose your gun, your penetration is still kind of average. The advantage is going to be that autoloader. And if I had a choice between any of these vehicles, this one over here, the K Panzer, which you might not be able to get, should be pretty good. The T30 is really good. You can't go wrong with the T30. A lot of people like the Waffen Traeger. The vehicle that comes before it is a popular vehicle, Borsig, but you know the Borsig is actually not the greatest tank destroyer. These are all tech tree vehicles, and I would say if you love tank destroyers, this is really a good choice. I really think that it's a good choice to play the American tech tree, to have premium tanks in that tech tree. The Foch line, I like it because I love the Tier 10, even though people don't like it. The Foch Tier 10 is actually, for me, a great tank. People don't like the Chinese tank destroyers, even though that penetration is really good. The Swedish ones, the Swedish tank destroyers are a great line of tank destroyers. You might want to spend your money going up that Swedish line. But it's a bigger learning curve. The German tank destroyers like the Waffenträger, you've got the light tank destroyers and the heavy tank destroyers. Both lines are good. High damage. One of them has great armor, which is Yagdi Tiger. So I definitely recommend German tank destroyers. This style of Russian tank destroyer, not very popular. The penetration isn't that good. I'm not going to check the configuration on it, but people don't like them very much. And this one's got really good penetration. This one's got good penetration. The British one leads up to the FV4005 Stage 2 and the 185B, 183, or whatever it's called. I think it's a good line of tank destroyers. So the British tank destroyers are good. The Chinese ones got high penetration. You could put your money on this WZ120 GFT if it's available in the tech tree. I'm going to check. We look under China. It's not available here, but the tech tree version is. So you might not be able to get it. But the Chinese, definitely worth getting. I'm going to keep the tech tree one open. This one looks like an Italian one. It's got an autoloader. In general, Italian tanks are fun to play. I'm going to leave that open. You really want to always consider the Italian line. You're going to have lower penetration, but you're going to enjoy playing them. This one over here, you're probably not going to be able to get. So I'm going to remove that one. This one over here, the K Panzer, you're probably not going to be able to get. So now, American line, Chinese, Italian, and of course the Germans. Strongly consider those lines. If you want penetration and you want to have easy wins, go for this Chinese tank, which is in the tech tree. If you're looking for autoloader fun and you can't afford this one, you've got your options, the Foch and the Italian. If you want a strong overall choice between heavily armored and turreted, then go with the American line. The TL7 is a good tank if you like autoloaders. Everything else about it just kind of average. But otherwise, I would definitely purchase it. I would love to have this in my garage. I would love to play it. But I do have, of course, a lot of tanks. I do recommend the tank. Don't spend $60 on this tank. You could easily pick up these three other tanks with that money. So I recommend the vehicle. Look out for it at around 10,000 gold. Other vehicles were 17,000 silver, and it might be a long time before you get a chance to buy it again. I'm not saying you have to buy this vehicle. Don't think like that. There's other vehicles in the game that are a better deal than this. But what I'm saying is it's not such a bad tank. If you have any questions or comments, please post below. I am the owner of cheapbooks.com, which is a website for buying and selling books and textbooks. You don't have to pay anything. There's over 650 million book listings, and I'm sure by the end of the year it's going to be over 1 billion book listings. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.